Hi, welcome to another CSRM podcast. I am Andrew Fouts. I'm the Director of Digital Resource Development here at CSRM. And we are currently going through a series on technology and ministry. And last time we talked about podcasting in general, what they are, why we do them, why YouTube is such a big deal, and why it's important for the church to start taking advantage of these online platforms, and especially the podcasting YouTube. We also took a look at the 4 lies that prevent a lot of churches from doing these digital ministries. But today, we're going to start the process of walking through the 4 C's that we need for podcasting. Specifically, today, we're going to look at the first C, which is content. And so content, of course, is what it is that we're actually talking about. Now, the first thing that comes into play here, though, is your audience, and you have to know your audience. Who is it that you are actually going to be targeting right off the bat with these kind of podcasts and videos and everything like that? Are you targeting other ministries that do the same thing? That's what we do here at CSRM. We are out here to try to provide resources for you and your ministry and your church. Are you looking to reach the unreached people that are in your area? Are you looking to reach some of the people that are coming to your sports leagues but not necessarily coming to the services? Are you looking to reach students? Are you looking to reach their parents? Are you looking to reach the athletes that are in your leagues? Are you looking for providing resources for your coaches? Or is this something even maybe for your congregation? Let them know what's going on within the sports ministry, within the youth ministry, within the family ministry, all that kind of stuff. Now, you got to be aware, though, that unlike most things within ministry, your initial audience is not going to be a permanent fixture. Videos go viral, podcasts attract ears that normally wouldn't, and so your audience is going to morph, it's going to grow, and so the content that you produce is likely going to move along with the audience as well. Some of the previous series we've done with the guys from Victory Taekwondo, as well as the videos that we're currently producing in conjunction with Tammy Forsyth of First Friends Canton, talking about ministry integration. Those are going to be some good ones that can help you here as far as how do you maximize your efforts as a church, not just as an individual ministry. But after you've done that, you've got your audience in place, you know who you're trying to reach, you know what you're trying to do, you've got to decide what you're going to be broadcasting about. And realistically, this is just another extension of your mission vision statement. What is the purpose of these kind of podcasts? So for us here at CSRM, it's an extension of the greater mission vision for us, which is to equip local churches to change lives through sport, rec, and fitness outreach ministries, train, equip, and resource local church staff, volunteers, mobilize them to build bridges in their community using sport, rec, and leisure activities with the overall purpose of leading people into transforming personal relationships with Christ. That's what CSRM is all about, and so our podcasts reflect that. Does that mean that our content is going to only deal with sports, rec, and fitness? Obviously, not necessarily. We've done some on just missions in general. We've done some on how we respond as ministers to the Me Too movement. And obviously, me and here right now, we're talking technology. It doesn't necessarily fit in the box of the SRF ministries, but it is still intended to equip and resource local church staff and volunteers, and especially to build bridges into their communities. Because like we saw last week, the biggest community that the church kind of has forgotten to build that bridge to is that online community. So there are 4 things that we want to talk through and look through as far as some ideas to get you going as far as what kind of content to bring in. The first thing you should be looking to do is to answer the people's questions, answer your audience's questions. What are the big questions? The cool thing with YouTube and SoundCloud is that since they're social media sites, you can actually find out exactly what those questions are. People leave comments, people can argue, people can start debates, all that kind of stuff. What is it that your audience is dying to know about and that your ministry can answer? For those of you that are listening on SoundCloud or are watching on YouTube, go ahead and leave us some comments as well. What kind of stuff do you want us to cover? Give us some ideas of things that we can look at doing here in the future with these podcasts. The other side of this, and this is another thing that you need to look into doing, is to answer your own questions. What are the big questions that you as the ministry or you as the person hosting have? The world thinks of the church and the people within the church as being people that think they have everything figured out, and it's wrapped up on these nice and neat in the gospel presentations. We know, obviously, though, that's not true. We're all screwed up. We all have issues. We all don't know what we're doing half the time. Share that with them. Share your faith journey with your audience. Have discussions with your mentors and with people that you're discipling. Have debates with people that think differently than you. Show your audience that, guess what, we're all human too, and we're still walking through this. And what this vulnerability starts to do is it starts to knock down some of those walls that may have been built up by past experiences in the church. I know just even from my baseball career in college, we had one of our pitchers on the team that was dead set against doing anything Christian. The only reason he was at a Christian university was because they had offered him a scholarship, and it was simply because of the fact that pastors in the past have just told him he has to accept things that they did not have an answer for biblically. They did not have an answer for just philosophically or theologically anything. They had no answer, but rather than just say that, I don't know, let's look at this together, they made him feel horrible about the fact that he was doubting God by asking these kind of questions. We've got to stop doing that, break down some of those walls, and start being vulnerable with people, and these sort of podcast videos are easy ways to start doing that. The flip side of this, though, is that we also have to keep 1 Peter 3:15 in mind. 1 Peter 3:15, always be ready to give a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. This definitely applies to the content of your podcast as well. We talked about last week the fact that millennials are always asking these kind of questions, and they're asking these questions specifically on YouTube. How do I know the Bible's true? How do I read the Bible? Should I pray? What happens when my prayers aren't answered? Why won't my mom be healed from cancer? Is Jesus actually God? Can we prove that Jesus is God? Those sort of things are what millennials are going to YouTube to get their answers for. But when you actually go in and you start searching through these questions, very few, if any, churches or theological authorities actually get on there and have answers to these kind of questions. For the most part, what you do find if people are answering the questions is it's millennial bloggers, podcasters, some of which when they're recording these are still in high school. They're the ones getting on trying to answer the questions for their friends, for their peers. We have the opportunity as the church to take advantage of these platforms and answer these questions and make a difference in someone's faith journey, and we don't even have to get out of the office to do it, but yet we don't do it. Now, there are some exceptions here. You got guys like Ravi Zacharias. You got guys like John Piper with Desiring God. You've got the Apologia Studios. You've got Capturing Christianity. You've got some of these different apologetics, some of these different discipleship groups that have actually gone on there and are doing some major video work, podcast work. But there's still a lot of room for you as individual churches to be able to get on there and to be able to reach people maybe just in your area that are searching for local churches or that know you as a church and are going to be searching your church's name in the toolbar, that will be able to provide these people with answers to their faith journey. The Great Commission is to go into the world, but we've got the opportunity now to be able to send our message into the world with just the push of a button rather than even having to leave. I'm the first person to say, and it's weird seeing somebody my age saying this, but I'm the first person to say that foot traffic is still the best way to go as far as advertising within ministry and talking to people. But people don't like to do that. It's scary. It's vulnerable. This is another easy option that we have to be able to impact the kingdom without even having to leave the office. The biggest thing, though, that when we talk about these things that we need to be looking at and sharing, and this realistically, this is the key to doing any kind of marketing of a ministry, is that we need to share our story. The gospel is the greatest story ever told. Personal experiences with it is the greatest piece of content that you as a church, you as an individual, you as a ministry can share. You know, ask your lead pastors, your other staff members to share who Jesus is to them. Talk to them about their testimony. Ask them questions. Get your coaches on. Ask them why they choose to spend their time working with the kids. What it is that excites them about these kind of leagues. Why they enjoy giving up their nights and their weekends to do this kind of stuff. Go interview that local high school superstar that started out in your leagues. Ask them about how God has impacted their athletics, how their faith has made a difference in the way that they play, and the way that they treat their teammates and treat their opponents and do all this other stuff. Your story is what is going to draw people in. Your story is what's going to make a bigger impact. The gospel does not need any helping to change people's hearts, but our experiences and our stories are what open people's ears a lot of the time. When we look at the entire Gospel of John, we see John going and sharing the gospel message in stages through the eyes of a bunch of different people. Through his own eyes, through John the Baptist's eyes, Mary, the woman at the well, the blind man, Nicodemus. All of these different people are seeing Jesus in different ways because of where they're at in their own faith journey. We need to be willing to do the same thing and share who Jesus is through our eyes. And this is the perfect opportunity and a great place to be able to do it. This was a little bit of a shorter one. A lot of these may be shorter. Some of them may get a little bit longer. This is part of where, again, from a content standpoint, it is kind of helpful when you have other people in the booth with you and you can have some discussions and kind of broaden these things out. But hopefully this is going to be able to kickstart some ideas as far as where you want to go with your podcast. Another good example that you can go and look at is our friend Bryce Johnson at Unpacking It Ministries. He's got a very good sports ministry podcast that is up and running and has been effective for a while. He's another one where you'll get a very good example of how to share a personal story and be able to spread the gospel through that. Make sure you check us out, subscribe, hit the like button. You can email me. My information will be coming up here shortly to get added to our newsletter. You can also contact us at csrm.org and check us out. Check out a lot of the other resources we offer. But I will be back here next week talking about the second part, the second C, which is credibility, and why it is such an important piece to the puzzle as far as why we as a church need to be a credible source online.